Hi again, Doug here from X-Frames FPV. Well, today we're going to take a look at this little guy. This is a little 3-inch. This is the 3B-R 128. Now this comes as a kit, and it doesn't come with everything in the kit. It comes with the frame, comes with this mini run cam, and then 3B's motors, and then some props. Laid out really, really well. So we built it up, and let's kind of get to the tabletop. We'll take a look at the individual components and then take a look at some flight footage.
So here we are with the 3B-R, and you know, there's many ways to buy a drone. You can buy a drone ready to fly. You can buy just the frame and supply the parts. What 3B has decided to do, and I think they've made a good decision, is kind of give you some of the stuff that they say, okay, this is already we think is really the best. Well, they obviously make motors, make some really good motors, and so it comes with these 3B-R 1606 3500 kV, pretty high kV for a 1606 motor. Normally, you know, it might be a 1407 that's that high kV, but this thing has a lot of power. They've also decided, since they've kind of made, you can see how the design of this front section here that's protecting the camera, how it really is well designed around the Run Cam Mini, and so that comes in the kit. So that's really nice, and you can see how good the protection is, and protection is very important. One of the things, you know, when I first started in this hobby, I was going through and like FPV antennas, you know, constantly, and until I finally found a way that's a really good way to mount them, and you learn, okay, this is something I need to protect because they're breaking constantly. They'd pull the VTX out and break the SMA off the VTX and all of that, and so I learned that, okay, I need to protect these. So now, obviously, when I install them, you know, more, you know, kind of pulled in. Some of the stuff, you know, I was doing linear for a while. I'm getting away from linear. It works in certain circumstances if you're going to be kind of close in and not going around stuff. But man, once I have found, at least where we fly, a good, like a, you know, TBS Triumph antenna or the new Lumenier AX2 Pagoda, they work much, much better. And so I'm kind of getting away from linears on bigger stuff. On small stuff like this, I think they work great. You could choose to put a nice small little Pagoda on this as well, but this one is what we've chose to do on here. It's going to be, you know, flown mostly in areas that you're not going to necessarily be going around trees. But I love the camera protection. If you look, you know, this is a B-Flight, whatever, you know, some places call it the B-Flight, some places call it the B-Flight. This is common. I'm not picking on this frame. This is a good frame. It's, you know, it's your average kind of build as far as a frame goes. And this is your average way that most frames mount their cameras. I've got probably 25 drones on my wall, and I could pull you down 20 of them that don't have very good camera protection. And so for people, especially for people that are flying and racing, it's really important. As you can see, this is just sticking out there, right? And you know, when you're flying through gates, it's very common to hit a gate, and you can see, boom, I mean, that's just right where the gate's going to hit, and it just pulls those off. So that's another place that really is nice that they've given us protection. Even with, I mean, we've got quite a bit of tilt there on the camera, and there's still a lot of protection. I left this loose on purpose, but you can see there's if you want this much tilt, then you've got it, you know. So maybe some of these young kids that are winning these races, some of those guys have crazy tilt. So this one will give it to them. So let's go over some of the components. Well, the components are pretty easy that we put in here because it's basically one stack. It's the XJ, or it's the XJB, but it's the HGLRC XJB, okay? And so that's a stack that has absolutely everything in it. What it comes with is a 28 amp 4-in-1 ESC. We're running D-Shot 600, super smooth, no issues with that. an F4 flight controller, and a switchable VTX that's switchable from 25 to 250 milliwatts. There's a lot of guys running these. I've put them in a few things. I don't have anything that I own that has this system. I have a 3-inch that I'm going to put a little 3-inch Tooth Fairy by Hyperlite that I'm going to be putting one of these in so that I can spend some more time with it. But they've always been reliable. Haven't had any issues with them. They fly really good. It's a 20 by 20 stack, and there's a lot of guys that are running 2206 5-inch stuff on these stacks, and seem to be holding up okay. So I had no worries about that in here. And like I said, it's an F4 chip. It goes together really easy, gives you all the voltage and current and everything that you need through your OSD. And so that's a really good system. Let's talk a little bit about these motors. The cogging on them, for probably some of the most aggressive cogging that I've felt has been, like in the Brother Hobby or the Hyperlite 1407s. Those have really, really strong cogging. And this is kind of not quite that bad. It's I say bad because I'm not a huge fan of motors with aggressive cogging, and the reason is because they're harder to tune, because they do create more noise going back to the gyro, especially in the kind of mid throttle range. But these aren't bad. But one thing I will say, we took this out, we flew it, and we brought it back, and these motors were hot, and hotter than I was comfortable with for sure. So did a little research, and 3B says that these motors were designed to run hot, that they made a design trade-off with some weight, and that not to worry about the hot, they'll run hotter than a normal motor. So for now I'm going to ignore that and just take their word. I know a lot of guys that say that they run hot, but they haven't had any issue with them. So, and 3B says once you get them in the air, they'll cool down pretty quickly. So, for me, I wish they weren't that way, because I'm used. I started in RCs 30 years ago, back when we were all running brushed motors and batteries that if we were to put them in a drone, it'd last about 10 seconds. And so I have gotten used to feeling a motor and knowing what hot is. I know what on a motor, what is too hot and what, and so when I feel these, when I come in, it's uncomfortable for me, because my mind just says, okay, these are too hot, something's wrong. But I've reached out to 3B. They say this is the way they're designed. Just fly them, they'll be fine. So I'm going to listen to what they say, and we'll just go forward with it. But I'll just let you know that when you do fly these, you're going to notice they're going to be hotter than normal. But 3B does say that they are designed to take the heat, and they are designed to actually, it is a design choice that they made. So just something to know. So let's get to some flight footage, and we'll come back and kind of wrap it up. So instead of right away going to the flight footage, I want to tell you, again, we are out here in Simi Valley. Jacob, kind of show them our area. Normally we fly in an area that you notice it's wide open, but for these little 3-inch, it's kind of nice to have some trees to fly in and around and fly a little bit slower. And so that's what we're doing today. I just wanted to really quickly, we talked about the hot motors. It just is what it is. It drives me crazy. I'll just be honest with you, because I've been used to grabbing a motor, knowing when it's hot, and these feel overly hot. I've been told adamantly that it's not an issue. So I can tell you this flies really well, has a lot of power. Had some issue in the beginning with, obviously you're seeing DVR footage because we can't put an HD. Well, we're not going to put an HD camera on here. In the first video, you'll see some jello. I didn't know for sure, trying to get a feel. Jacob was flying, trying to get a feel what it was from. Didn't know if it was from a tune or if it was from inside the camera. Tighten the camera, it wasn't that.
Ended up being that the camera had a loose sensor in it, and so we put just kind of soft mounted the sensor in there and didn't have any issues since then. So, you know, we did have a crash. You're going to see here in the video, there is a pretty good hit a sign, and it's testament. Let me kind of get in here a little bit better. It's testament to how important protection is, because you can see even with protection, we got a little ding on the camera lens, camera's fine, and we've delaminated just a little bit on the carbon fiber here, and then you can see this is where it hit the concrete after. But if that had not been there, that carbon fiber, this camera would have been toast for sure. We would have been buying a new camera. So I talked about in the tabletop how important it is to have protection for your camera, and we proved it today. So here's some flight footage, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So you may have caught that on video. My son just crashed. It happens. But what was funny is he said, "I should be fine. I hit it head on." Okay.
All right. Well, you know, all in all, I think this is a good deal. I think $130 is the price for the kit, the motors, and the camera. You can buy the HDLRC XJB for, I think, $70, $72, somewhere in there. So, okay, so that puts us right at about $200. Then you got to buy a receiver. We put an FRSky. I believe this has just the standard XM Plus. That's another $12. So for let's just say $225. This comes with props as well. You can get a drone that is ready to build and a great little 3-inch. Now, you know, like I said, the motors, you know, they'll take the heat, whether that's going to be something that bothers you or not. You know, you have to make that decision. They should be fine. Everybody says that they're running them. A lot of guys are running them, you know, with a lot of heat to them, and they're still doing fine. So let's get a weight on this. 150 52. So you know what? I think that's good for a 3-inch, especially one with a canopy and that much protection. We just built the Japalura and it was like oh gosh, what was it? It was like 205 or something like that. And it's very different. It's a 3-inch as well, but it's a 3-inch that is more like a tank. It's really this little flying tank. But we'll want to get some measurements too here on the carbon fiber. One thing I like about the carbon fiber, you can see, is really nice. And it does have these, you can leave these motor protectors off if you want. I like them. I think they give the right amount of protection. And then it's got this spot back here for your XT60. Efficiency, they're hungry. This is I put in my Instagram, what did I say? This is a beast, and just like a beast, it's fast and hungry because these motors, it's pretty big motor running this high kV, so it's a little bit hungry. I would suggest for sure that you run something in the range of an 850. I prefer this on 3S. It's got plenty of power, and again, I'm going to say it again, with the motors getting hot because of that, it flies great on 3S. If I was racing it, obviously I do 4S, but for me, a 3-inch is something that I like to play with around out in front of the house, and a 3-inch does that perfectly. So let's measure the carbon fiber here. 3 millimeter, and this is going to be 1.5, I believe. Yeah, 1.5. It is like with most 3-inch, it is a one-piece design for the base plate. It's got this really good, I just ordered some of this stuff. This is really good for your battery because it's pretty sticky in the beginning. And then if it starts kind of losing its stickiness, you just get some warm water and maybe a little bit of soap, and it comes right back. So all in all, really happy with this. The way it flies, the way it handles, it is a powerhouse. You put a 4S on it, this flies. If you put it in somebody's hands, other than you can feel that it's small, you would think that this is a 5-inch because of how it flies. It's just got so much power with these motors, which is understandable. 150 grams, light, 1606, 3500 kV. Well, you do the math. It's really nice and fast. So, guys, thanks for sticking with me. I got a little chatty today, but I like talking to you. So you can check out my website, xframesfpv.com, and there you can see some of my builds. Don't pay attention to the pictures. These are pictures that were put on there by the guy who just built my website or rebuilt it. So appreciate you. Hope you get some time to fly.